Hey, 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 this is Seagrove, and if you are new here, consider subscribing. We do tons of videos, mostly about helping you guys find growth and success in the Pokemon TCG. But today, let's get into our video, end of season awards. Tate, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey, so I'm Tate Whitesell, best known as the creator of PokeStats. This is my third season playing. My first season playing outside of the New England area. I'm now at the University of the South in Tennessee. I'm not a statistics major. I'm a bio major. And I'm the person who started calling the Shrine of Punishment decks Spas decks, and I'm now getting flamed on Twitter for it.
It's all your fault.
That's me, if you want to direct your hate at someone for that.
Gansman. All right, cool. So we did this halfway through the season last season, or earlier this season, I guess, for last season, which was a little bit weird, but we just came up with the idea late, and we wanted to do it. So this is for last season. We just obviously had Worlds. We've had one event since then, Philly, one North American event. So we thought this would be a good time to go ahead and do the awards on some of the superlatives for the year. So why don't we start off with an easy one, and that is Rookie of the Year. So this goes to the first year master, either someone who aged into masters or started playing competitively this year. When I first was thinking about this, I was actually like, and this was before Philly, I was actually like, this could be Rukan. I was thinking about this like halfway through the season. And then I realized who else is a first-year master. So
no offense to Rukan.
Yeah,
but
and Rukan didn't really play very much. But anyway, throughout the rest of the season. But anyways, go ahead. You can spoil it if it's a spoiler. For anyone.
You go. You
go.
go.
Joe Rudiger.
Yeah, we agree on this. So
hands down the Rookie of the Year. I don't even think it's worth really naming anyone else, to be honest. Like, it's not close. He finished top 4, I'm pretty sure. He was 4th, right?
Yeah, I think so. Actually,
why don't you look that up? So I think he was top 4. He I must say he got second at 2 of the internationals as well. Like, he just had a killer season.
Just one. He got second in Oceania.
Okay. And then he got top. I don't know. He did really well early in the season, and he was one of the best players on the season. So definitely,
he had five regional top 8s.
Yeah, so he killed it. Like, it wasn't close. Cool.
The one other person I wanted to give an honorable mention to. I guess actually there's a couple, because we could go with like first year master but played as a senior and junior, or we could do literal first year player. And so we could give that to Rukan, or another player we could give that to is Clive. The Worlds, the darling of Worlds, I guess. Top 4 at Worlds in his first season. Played Zygarde for almost every event that he did well at. So honorable mention.
He was certainly better than Rukan as well. I just, like, early on in the season, I was like, oh, cool, Rukan could be this. And then he stopped playing. Cool. So I'm hearing echo.
Congrats to Joey. Let's go.
Okay. I'm hearing myself echo a little bit. Okay. Thanks. So now let's get into this other one. Deck Builder of the Year. My first instinct here was actually James Arnold. And because he was really good last year, but I didn't know who he was. He definitely should have at least been mentioned last year. This year, he came up with the heavy Baby Buzz version of Buzzwole, and he was playing that at the first time it was legal, which was actually an expanded event.
Expanded was when and he was the only one in that day 2 who was doing that. Yeah,
so he pioneered that. He's always coming up with good decks. He did Yveltal Break. Other people did it as well, but they were separate. So he came up with 2 really cool decks. He didn't play as much this season. I'm sure he came up with something else awesome that I don't know about. But he was my first option. And then I kind of thought more about it. But why don't you go ahead and talk about about who you picked actually ended up going with.
Yeah, so my pick is going to be Robin Schultz, and
Okay.
the reason I'm saying that is so first and foremost, I obviously thought about Worlds. I mean, he won Worlds, and he played a deck with no Ultra Ball in it, which is ridiculous, frankly. Like Ultra Ball is in probably almost every single deck that has made day two in the entire season, with very few exceptions. And his genius that led him to win Worlds was just take Ultra Ball out of the deck. Like Zora Garbiter, you don't need it really. You can just trade into all the resources you need, and you don't have to worry about discarding awkwardly with Ultra Ball. And then as I thought more about it, I realized that he also is one of Tord's testing partners, and Tord obviously was tearing up, internationals and stuff left and right this season. But I think it was Robin, and I could be wrong on this, but I'd be surprised if I was. I think Robin must have had a hand in building like the original Zoro pod, the original Zoro Gardevoir, and helping Tord with that.
Mm-hmm.
And those both won internationals in addition to him winning Worlds.
Yep.
So I definitely have to give it to Robin, just in terms of like those decks all influenced the format heavily and took down huge tournaments, and he was, if not the one playing them, at least helping to build them.
Mm-hmm. And it's hard to separate the Schultz brothers to an extent. From time to time, it's clear.
I specified Robin because he was the world champion, but
yeah,
obviously too was very good.
Yeah, but sometimes it's clear who invents it. They'll say it, or only one of them will play. Well, sometimes it's clear. Often it's not clear, and it's mutual effort. But toward my understanding, I could be wrong on this. My understanding is I think they came up with Zoro Guardi and gave it to Tord. I think Tord invented Zoropod and they helped him with it. And they invented Zoro McCargo but gave up on it.
I did hear about that, actually.
So, yeah, definitely a good choice. I just picked Tord because he is the one who ended up going through with Zoro McCargo. I think he did Zoropod. Zoro Guardi was the right deck for that tournament, but I'm not convinced that it was the best deck. And then I think he had a big hand in. I think Tord, from what I've heard, although again this could be wrong, it was more Tord than the others when it came to Zoro Garb. So I said Tord, but I think Robin Schultz is a more interesting pick. So
in testing group, so kind of the same route there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. So let's go to one of ones I'm not going to be able to speak as well to. The team ones. Either of those. So I guess let's do team of the year.
All right. So this is an interesting one. And the main reason for that is that there were a couple of teams that did really well throughout the season that are no longer intact. They split up at some point during the season. Most notably, CCG Castle and Carta Magica. All those players are now on other teams.
Yeah, and Carta Magica only lasted like a month.
Yeah, and I'd never learned the story of that.
Yeah.
I'd be interested. But those teams had like most of the like top 5 or top 10 just like United States players on them when they were active. Like Azul, Pendarvis, Rahul,
everyone but Pram.
Igor, all those people. Yeah, but Pram's ARG, so
yeah, everyone but Pram.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So that shakes it up a little bit because.
And Caleb.
Yeah, but that makes it interesting because can you give an award to a team that like only lasted for a little while?
Yeah. We don't have established teams fully yet, so it's kind of weird.
Yes, and I also don't I don't focus a ton on team coverage with PokeStats. It's something I'd like to focus more on, doing some more team-related stats, but Limitless pretty much is the only source for that right now. So I went and looked at Limitless, and they had, for the entire 2017 through 18 season, they had 6 prizes, actually, as the #1 team.
Okay.
And the system that they use appears to be akin to like grading on a curve, that kind of system, where the #1 team has 100 points and everything else is off of that.
Okay.
So Six Prizes was the highest performing team through
Okay.
their metrics. So
Well, they have Xander, who's one of the top in the
yeah,
world.
yeah, Xander had a ridiculous season actually.
Yeah.
When if you look at it, he was yeah, he had an absolutely ridiculous season. And then
Yeah.
they had like Chris Szymanski had a pretty terrific season as
Yeah.
well.
And Alex
Um,
Szymanski's like half and half on the team. Mike Fouché, they might
yeah,
count.
yeah,
Um,
they had Pendarvis for some amount of time. I don't know actually the extent that Limitless
okay.
counts him as a Six Prizes member and other things.
Okay.
I'd be interested actually. I should talk to them about how they do that. But if we're gonna settle on a number one team just going by the Limitless metric, then it is Six Prizes
Okay.
just by the numbers.
Sounds good to me.
But you can make any kind of argument that it was, you know, when like CCG Castle was in their prime, that it was them.
Right. For sure. Okay, cool. If team hit me up. All right. So if the other one for teams is team MVP. And that's another one that you did last season. And if you feel like you can still do that, great. If not,
yeah. So I looked at the top 5 teams in the Limitless rankings just to see who had the highest highest percentage of points accrued on their team. And again, it's a little hard to discern just because of all the teams that were splitting up and rosters changing. But the 2 that were pretty close at the top were Xander for 6 prizes, Xander Perot, and Pram for ARG.
yeah.
Pram actually had and ARG also actually changed their roster a little bit during the season.
Yeah.
But
Especially
Pram
at the
was
end. Or I guess that'd
yeah,
be the beginning of this season.
Yeah. But Pram was really steadfast through that, like racking up points for them. And so he had by far the highest amount on their team at the end of the season. Same with Xander, but that's not to say that everyone else on their team was slacking. It's just that Xander had such an insane season that he accounted for a big percentage of Six Prizes points.
I think you have to give it to Xander just because the team was so much more successful.
Yeah. There's a case to be made for either, but those are my 2 picks.
And there's a case for the opposite. Like, he was pulling his weight. He carried the team so much that like he just wasn't getting enough help. But normally MVP, yeah, I think Xander just outperformed Pram, so you kind of have to give it to Xander this season. Like Pram top 32 to every international. And 1-2 regionals. Did he win 1 or 2 this season? That dude's good.
He just won 1.
Dude, I feel like he had a bad season, and he top 32'd 4 internationals and 1 a regional. So that's feels like a bad season for Pram.
Washed up.
That dude's insane. Yeah, washed up. Cool. So Rogue Deck of the Year.
This is a fun one. We had fun with this last year.
Yeah.
Because you wanted to give it to like Bulu or something, and I told people that, and they got mad at you.
Good.
I think I gave it to Grant's Wobfit last year, but
that was awesome.
Yeah. This season, there's also a lot of options. I got to pull up my brainstorming doc here. What did I put? All right, so there's a couple of cases here. I think I want to give it to the Baby Buzz deck from Worlds and at the very end of the season, because even though it wasn't, I don't know that you can truly call it a rogue deck. A lot of people played it at Worlds, primarily like pretty much all the Australians brought it. But it was a deck that like popped up right at the end of the season when the only event left was Worlds, and so it had no track record except for a couple of League Cups, which doesn't mean that much. So people didn't really know if it was good or not. And the fact that a bunch of people still played it and did well with it at Worlds, I think would qualify it as a successful rogue deck. And at the biggest tournament of the season, you can definitely make a compelling case that it was the rogue of the season.
Yeah.
That's my thought, but I'd be interested to hear yours.
There weren't that many decks. I was like, oh my goodness, this is amazing. But I want to say Sylveon.
Pretty much every time somebody plays Sylveon, it's a rogue. Like it's never a top tier deck. There
Right.
are there are times when the format is perfect for Sylveon to do well, but it's never like been considered like a top tier deck.
Yeah, I can't remember his name, but there's that one dude who just like killed it with Sylveon all season. Didn't play that
Kyle
much.
Kyle something. Well, Xander got a bunch of CP with Xander Bennett got a bunch of
Right.
CP with Sylveon, but Kyle Lesniewicz, I believe
Yeah.
his name is. Yeah,
Yeah. He's like the best Sylveon player in the world, and
I think he got like almost a whole invite with
I think he
Sylveon.
did. I think he did.
He got a whole invite, yeah.
So it's pretty crazy. And like when it seemed like it was a bad deck, he still made it work. The rogue deck of the year.
Yeah. One thing to note is that in our modern age of Pokemon that we're in now, there's kind of a lot less rogue decks running around just because the meta goes so fast now, and people with things like article sites and Hey Fonte and testing groups and teams, people. This is something Azul's talked about on his stream, is that people break the format way faster than they used to. So people just within the first week of a format will figure out like the most broken deck, and then everyone else will just play it or play counters to that. So there's not because the meta changes so fast, and because all the top players in the world are working together testing,
Mm-hmm.
there are fewer rogues that do well at tournaments.
Yeah, that's interesting, and that's what I love about Q1. But it seemed less true this season. Well, I guess not really, because people sort of hide stuff until the first regional. It seems like, but I just didn't get to play in a single like premiere event, just because I'm really busy.
I'm in the process. Today I've been doing the meta analysis for Philly from a couple days ago, and it's a really diverse meta, which is what you would expect from the first regional of
Right.
the season. But I think if we look at Memphis, it might be a lot less diverse, just because people will take like the top performing decks from Philly, they'll tweak them, make them like the best that they can be, and then everyone will just play those.
Yeah.
There will be some rogues for sure, but
Yeah. So I don't know. Felt like that was like I missed out on my favorite part of the season because of being so busy, which sucks. But like, because this is the time when I feel like rogues, you can play whatever you want and be successful if you build it consistently and well. So, anyways,
right.
Cool. So let's go on to the next thing. Did we do most improved yet?
We did not.
Okay. So most improved. Did you said you had a way of looking at that? Did you get a chance to do that?
I haven't actually finished my analysis for that. I'm gonna do a post on PokeStats at some point for that.
Okay.
But if you have any like anything off the top of your head that you can think of for most improved.
I don't know. Like, there's a guy locally who his name's Stephen Hunter. He's a friend of mine, and he has never gotten an invite before. And he's had like one good regional finish, and he got his invite in the third quarter, which is kind of cool. But
Yeah.
certainly, he's not the most improved player in the U.S. or the world. Yeah, I don't know.
There's a lot of good players out there that, because they might not attend as many events, people just don't know about. One that was talked about a lot recently was Brian Miller, the Legend Killer.
Yeah,
And I don't know
in
how
Indiana.
long. Right.
Yeah.
So for anyone who doesn't know, he's a player in Indiana, which is probably like the hardest region in the United States. There's like Azul, Pram, Aaron Tarbell, Dustin Zimmerman, Kyle Sablehouse, a bunch more that I'm forgetting. And he has like a positive record at cups against all of them.
Or close to it.
But I don't know anything about like how long he's been playing, or if we could give him like most improved, if he's always been this good, or if this is his first season, or anything like that. So it's really hard to quantify this one when there are so many players at the local level who are good.
I got my pick. Voluntary reboot. Sarah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
she just
Was this
started.
was this her first season?
This was her first season, so I don't really know if you can count that. But like,
Yeah.
she got to
I guess
Worlds after being
improvement.
like
I would.
truly terrible. Like she went to her first three events and did awful, and got better and made Worlds. So like,
Yeah.
I don't know if that fits, but that's what I'm gonna go with because I don't have better information. Okay, uh, so let's go to we'll wait for your post on that for a definitive answer. So let's go to our last category, Player of the Year. Probably the easiest one. Start easy, we'll end easy.
I'll just say it.
Sure. So it's Tord because there are five majors in the world.
It could not be anyone other than Tord this season.
He got first at 2, second at 1, did terribly at the other 2. I mean, he may have gotten like top 32 at Worlds or something.
I don't think he did do terribly at one. There was one of them. It was like
Latin America. That was I think he did pretty. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And then the other, and then he didn't do well at Worlds.
He did all right at Worlds. He got like top 32 at Worlds.
Yeah, but if you make if you start off making day 2, I mean, if you're in day 2, you're like, I don't know if there's more than 64 people in day 2.
I think if he top 8'd Worlds, he would probably be like undisputed GOAT.
Yeah.
And the fact that he didn't, people are gonna be like, "Oh, he's not that good," which is ridiculous.
I don't think anyone's saying that. I think if he had won Worlds, I think he would be undisputed greatest of all time. Because like before this season, we'll say.
If he'd won Worlds, people in Burbank would be accusing him left and right of cheating.
True. But first, okay. Before this, there were like 4 people that people would talk about as best player of all time. Klaczynski, and it was like, it's Klaczynski, you know. And then Pram. And then when Pram started winning all these regionals last season, people were like, maybe it's Pram, you know. And then
Pram says it's Pram, so
he doesn't anymore. He says it's Tord now.
Does he say it's Tord now?
Yeah.
Good for him.
Puka. And
Puka's the GOAT.
Ross. Yeah. So I mean, people will. He's in the conversation, but the fact that Puka was in the conversation and what Tord did is like Puka had 3. I don't know if he had 3 Nats wins or 3 really good Nats like finals or top 4s or whatever, like a final, a second, a top 4. The fact that what Tord did is undisputably more impressive than what Pram did is like, I mean, sorry, what Puka did is like, it has to be him or Jason now. It has to be him or Jason, and I think it's him.
It just comes down to whether you think that like Tord winning 3 ICs is better than Jason winning 3 Worlds, just because like you can say Worlds is a bigger tournament, but at the time that Jason was winning them, it was probably an easier tournament than ICs.
But Jason also won a Nationals.
That's true. He did
big Nationals. And but Jason has some like controversy around a few of his things. So I don't know. Like that, I don't think it's enough to be like, oh, he doesn't deserve it or whatever. But like,
I mean, any top performer in any
is always going to have controversy.
Is always going to have. I mean, Tom Brady's always going to have controversy. Anyone like that. So, yeah.
Yep. All right. So, cool. I think that's about it. So, do you have any plugs or anything you want to do last minute before we close?
No real plugs other than use PokeStats.
PokeStats Patreon.
Yeah,
Patreon.com/PokeStats.
Yeah, if you want to help me out with these sick textbooks, these are not cheap, so appreciated.
Do you read them?
I do. Actually, that one's pretty interesting. That's my bio textbook. That's a good one.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, PokeStats Twitter. It's at PokeStats_TCG. If you don't know it, I try to be kind of the biggest resource out there for people following the game, whether you're just getting into it or whether you're a top player. I think there's something there for everyone. The website's ptcgstats.com, and that's pretty much it. That's pretty much what I do.
Cool. All right. Well, thanks for watching, and peace out. Shout out to all my patrons, starting with the basic. Gabe Chernisky will post. Matthew McCrae, thanks for the support, guys. Hopefully you have some good luck in the drawings. Shout out to the Great Ball patrons, Stephen Hunter, Rico Cabrera, Jesse Swinson, Stefan Ivanov, and Epsil Delta. Sorry for the lack of content this week. I'll be getting some videos out a little bit earlier, and you can have early access to those in the near future. Shout out to my Ultra Ball patrons, Sarah Beckwith, Paul Semenko, John Gilliman, Brian Chan, Tyler Johansson, Alex Haney. Don't forget to schedule a time for your free coaching session for Q1. And to my Master Ball patrons, Jeremy Owings, Caleb Vance, Dan Nelson, Impulse Gaming, and PokeStats, thank you so much for your support. Don't forget, you get one video per year to plan with me and make with me. So if you want to do that, don't forget to hit me up and we can work that out. Thank you so much to all my viewers as well for your support. I really appreciate it. And I will see you guys next time.